Hey wonderfuls! We've been having some pretty nice weather here lately, so I thought I would show you how I keep my food and drinks cool while I'm out camping without a fridge. I would love to get a fridge or freezer even to keep ice packs frozen and make ice, but in the meantime I have a very cheap and old setup that is tried and tested and actually works pretty well. This is nothing new, this is just the cheap alternative that I use, and this setup actually works pretty well for me for a few days at a time. To keep my food cool, I just use an old, cheap Coleman cooler or chili bin or esky, depending on where you're from. And I don't actually buy ice for it. I freeze water bottles in my freezer at home and have them there all the time so that they're ready to go for the weekends. Then when the ice melts, it stays inside the bottles and doesn't fill up the bottom of your cooler and get any of your food wet. The square ones are better because they actually fit a little bit better in the square coolers. I have a cheap rack from the dollar store that I'm modified slightly to fit inside the cooler, and this keeps my lighter, fragile items up on top like eggs and things that I don't want to get squished. In the cooler, I'll typically pack the meat and dairy right up next to the ice bottles. Then the produce and condiments can go towards the outside of the cooler. And another thing that really helps is keeping the beverages separate from the food, since you're probably going to be accessing the beverages more frequently, or I do anyway, so that I'm not opening the food cooler often. And for that, I usually just use an insulated bag and an ice bottle. I've had the ice bottles in the cheap old cooler for about 4 days, and they still haven't completely thawed out, so it works pretty well. Get out of my beer. Hey, what are you doing? Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go make a shirt out of a tarp.